Hello, this is for elementary stats. This is going to the Statcrunch for chapter 9 homeworks. Okay. In chapter 9, they got three sections, but the whole entire chapter 9 is where we do two groups or two populations. What do we do here is we break the populations into two parts. So last time in chapter 7 and 8, you perform you find a confidence interval and hypothesis testing for one group. Means that imagine you got one whole group of populations of students. We find what is the left-handed, or we find the test score. So that means that everyone in that group is going to be part of the sample in this case. So for this chapter 9, we will break that populations into two groups. Maybe I will break it into like maybe male and female, or maybe age group like younger and older. So we break the groups into two groups. This case, not three, not more than three. So three or more. So it's two groups. So again, in 9.1 we do proportions. So two proportions where percentage, where again, how do we know that is based on the questions. You see there are percentages or the word proportions, and also they don't have the word mean on it. Okay. And then in 9.2, the next section, we talk about the two means that is independent. And then 9.3, we talk about also two means, but this is dependent. So we'll talk about those the two means coming up. So right now we talk about the two proportion case. So you can read like this question in your homework. They will tell you which one goes to the population one. That means that it is population one is vinyl glove in this case. So vinyl glove will be giving us this, and then population 2 is given us by a latex glove. So this question provide us a technology result. So if a question provide us a technology result, you do not need to use Statcrunch to do the work in this case, because the test statistics and the p-value is given us in the technology and the confidence, so this is all done by it. So you do not need, so you just click on the technology. But sometimes the question did not provide us a technology, like this question 6 here, where they figure out that you're conducting a proportion of people who dream in black and white instead of color. So among 301 people who age of 55, 66 of them dream in black and white, and among 331 people under age 25, 10 dream black and white. So you will test the claim that the proportion of people over 55 dream black and white is greater than those under 25. So it is written down here. They will tell you that the first sample here you use 55 and the second sample is 25. So when you do your online homework, they'll tell you which is the first sample and which is the second sample. But when you do in your test, I don't tell you which one is which. But usually you can find that by looking at your claim statement here, where you find out that the over 55 come first, and then the one that is under 25 comes next group. So it means that the over 55 is your first group and the under 25 second group. Now, because the question is asking us is greater than, so that means P1 is greater than P2. So this is P1 and this P2. So our hypothesis statement in this case is now hypothesis P1 equals to P2. Don't forget, now it's always equality. Alternative is P2. Alternative will be either less than, greater than, or not equal to P2. So that is your H1 in this case. And then the second one is you have to find the test statistics in this case. Now this you need to use Statcrunch because the question doesn't give us that table yet. So if you go under Statcrunch, so how do we do this is we have to go to stats, proportion stat, 2 sample. So last time you did 1 sample. This time we do 2 sample with summary. Okay, last time we do 1 sample with summary. This time we do 2 sample with summary, and you have to enter 2 things. So the first one is the sample 1, the number of success. So that means that those are over 55 age. So 66 of them dream black and white out of 301 age people. And then for those who are under age 25, 10 dream black and white out of 311 people. And we are performing a hypothesis testing. So this is always equal to 0. So those who's asking for if you do the two group test here, and we are doing greater than based on the question is asking us for greater than. So we'll use greater than, and then you hit compute, and you will get your test statistics and p-value. So your test statistics in this case will be in 2 decimal place that the question asks us to do is 7.02. And the next question is they ask you for the p-value in this case. The p-value in this case will be given us by, where was that? 0, because this p-value is less than 0.001, so that is a 0 in this case. And then, so now you're making the decision here and the conclusion. Since the p-value, which is 0, in this case, the alpha is given us by 0.01, so the p-value is less than that. So we will reject. So if a p-value is less, we reject. P-value is less than the significant level alpha, we reject. And that is, so in this case, we're picking the first, there is sufficient evidence to support the claim. Okay. Now, the next question that asks us here is to find the confidence interval. Now, usually the question here did not give us a 98%. So you have to figure out now, because this is a one-tail test, or we call it a right tail test because it's greater than, we have to use 1 minus 2 alpha. So make sure you guys know that this is very important. If you have a one-tail test, you use 1 minus 2 alpha as your confidence level. If you have only a two-tail test, your confidence level is 1 minus alpha. So make sure you guys know the difference here. Very important here. So because we are finding the 98% confidence, because if you take this question, alpha is 0.01. So 1 minus 2 alpha, because it's a right tail test, is 1 minus 2 times 1%, which is 1 minus 2%, is a 98%. So how do we find this 98% confidence interval? Is you go back to Statcrunch, you go under option, and you go under edit. Everything is the same because it's the same statistics here. So you just go down to the confidence interval, and you just change the 95 to 98, and then you hit compute. Now you get your lower and your upper limit. And the question says you need in 3 decimal place. So the 3 decimal place in this case for this question will be, let me move things around here so I can put the answer in here. That will be 0.127. That will be for the lower limit. And the upper limit in this case is 0.247. So make sure you guys know that this is how we do these questions here. We do not use any formulas. We use Statcrunch. And then how do we make a conclusion here is you look at your sign. Now, these 2 signs are positive. So that means it does not include 0. If it includes 0, means one is negative, the lower is negative, the upper is positive. Then you can tell that these are not equal to. Because the confidence limit includes only positive values, then we can say that because positive is greater, that means that the P1, which is those people who are 55 and older, is greater than P2, because if they're positive, P1 is greater than P2. So this is how we do this question here, and then you can answer the rest. So the most important part is make sure you guys, when you use your Statcrunch, make sure you use the option and edit. Then you just need to switch the hypothesis testings to confidence interval. Okay, so this is how we do this for the population proportion for question for chapter 9.1. Okay, and then we will go to 9.2 here. So in 9.2, so in 9.2 homework, where we do for 9.2, we are doing what we call as doing 2 mean, and that independence. So in order for you to do that in your Statcrunch, you will have 2 choices. So you go to I'll show to you right here while this thing is loading here. So in your Statcrunch, what you need to do is you just need to go to T-stats 2 sample with data or summary. So last time we do T-stat 1 sample with data or summary. This time we do T-stats 2 samples and the data summary. Again, data means the question provide you the data set. Summary means the question gave you summary statistics. So this is 9.2 here. So example is if you talk about these questions in 9.2, again, they provide us statistics. So we're going to do with summary. If a question give you data, I'll show you an example. So given a table in the BMI for random sample of men and women, these are the two samples are independent. So make sure the word independent means that you can only belong to one group. So either you belong to the male group or the female groups. So that's called independent. So you do 9.2. A dependent means a 9.3, where we talk about family relationship, means like if you're talking about instead of male and female, you're talking about father, mother, or father and son, or something else. If you do about that, then it will be a dependent case, which will be 9.3, or before after means before you do exercise, this is your BMI, and then after you perform, a month of exercise, you have an after your BMI. So if you have anything before, after, or family relationship, then we will do 9.3, which is the 2 means dependent case. But now for male and female, it can only belong to one group. So we call it as independent samples in this case. So here is the claim says. The claim statement says that the male and female have the same mean. So same mean means equal. So that means that you will be doing equal and not equal to. mu1 equals to mu2 and mu2 is not equals to mu2. And then the next one is you have to find the test statistics. So for these questions, you have to use Statcrunch. Okay. So go on the stat. T-stat 2 sample with summary, and the question already provide us the summary. So don't forget the first group is the male group. So again, usually is coming up from here that male come first here and then female comes second. Sometimes they also mention here, but this is kind of like the stuff that we're doing. So make sure you guys know male, whoever come first in your claim statement is your first group. So the sample mean in this case will be 28.4993. Please don't round these numbers. Sample standard deviation is 8.757958. Sample size is 42. We got 42 males here. For the female, the sample mean is 25.4284. Sample standard deviation is 4.712548, and the sample size of 42. And then now you go on to this performing, and I know it's a bit whack here. So make sure you use equal and not equal to. I don't know what happens to this today's work. So make sure it's 0 here. And when you hit compute, so this is your test statistic in this case, which will be 2.001. So the question wants this in 2 decimal place. So in 2 decimal place, this will be 2, exactly 2. And then the p-value in this case will be given us by the next one in how many decimal place they want. 3 decimal place, 0.05. Okay, 7 is big enough for 49 become 50. Okay, so and then you will use your then the next question they'll ask you is to which one you do. Now our alpha is 0.01, so 5% is more than 1%. We will fail to reject the null hypothesis. And if you fail to reject your null hypothesis, then the conclusion will be there is not sufficient evidence to warrant rejection of it. Okay. And then the next question here is asking you to find the confidence interval. Now the question did not provide us a confidence interval level here. While we're using 98, 99, 95%. So how do we know this is, again, read the question, look at your statement, because we are doing a two-tailed test. So again, back to here, if we are doing two-tailed test, means equal and not equal to, our confidence level in this case is 1 minus alpha. Okay, so for this case, alpha is given us in the question here is 1% or 0.01. So 1 minus 0.01 is 0.99. So this question is we are looking for 99% confidence interval. So to find that, you just go to option, go under edit, same thing, but this time you just click on the confidence interval and you select the 99%, and that will be your answer for question for the confidence interval in this case. So round in 3 decimal place, this will be negative 1.005. And then the other one is 7.147. And since the question, the confidence interval here does capture 0 because one of them is negative, the other one is positive, we will capture 0. So it is the same. So capture 0 means that they are equal. So Is a support function? Yes, because the confidence interval contains zero, captures zero in this case. Okay, so that means that the two BMI is the same in this case. Okay, now if this is when the question gives us the samples, the summary statistics. Now this question they ask us about, there are two waiting lines in your car here, and they give you the waiting times here. So when you click on it, so make sure you import this into Statcrunch. Okay. So so when you do this question class, is the question is asking us is these two cars have mean that equal. So again, equal means mu1 equals to mu2, and mu1 is not equal to mu2. So make sure you guys know equal. So this is your claim, your statement in this case. So if the next question is asking you to find the test statistics, so you import the data set here. So again, you go under stat, tstat to sample with data now, because we got data here. And we got one line for the first one because, let me see, population 1 is a single waiting line, so one line. And population 2 is a two waiting line. So sometimes the question tells you which one it is. And we are doing equal and not equal to. Sorry for that little, I don't know what happens to my Statcrunch today. So that should be not equal to. So the test statistic in this case will be this. Again, pardon for all this little, I have no idea what happens to the work today, the internet today. So something happens here. So so for the test statistic in this case, it will be 0.1516, because in two decimal places 16. And then for the p-value in three decimal place, which is the one next to it, 0.8475. Okay, and then the rest is going to be the same. You follow the conclusion. And the next question after they ask you for a confidence interval. So what you do is you figure out what level we put in, because the alpha is 1%. So because this is a two-tailed test, we will use 1 minus alpha again, where alpha is 1%. So 1 minus 1% is 99%. So for this case, you will go under option, go under edit, switch to the perform confidence interval and change 99%, and you hit compute. Then this will be your lower and that will be your up. Okay. So this is how you figure out how we do 9.2, where we do doing both hypothesis testings and confidence interval for two means that are independent. Okay. Now the next one we're going to talk about is a dependent case, means your homework 9.3 here. So for the 9.3 homework, you will be doing a little bit different from Statcrunch, and you will see the questions a little bit different when you do the dependent case. So again, make sure you guys know that independent means these two groups are totally independent, means the data cannot be both. Like just now when we do the one line and two lines, means either you go to one line or you go to two lines. But for a dependent case, we can do what we call as a mother-father family relationship, or before after. Okay, so usually when you do this kind of questions, it will provide you data. So every single questions you see here, there is a data set. So let's say we're doing this one, we want to refer back to if the freshman gained some weight. So so we want to figure out, this is the map data here, again, open in Statcrunch. Okay, so the question is asking is that the people who weight in September is less than the weight in April. So in this case, we don't use mu1 and mu2 anymore. We use mu-d, which stands for population mean difference. So again, the null hypothesis is always equals to 0. And your alternative in this case will be less than 0 due to the statement here wants us to prove less than 0. Okay. And then, oops. Something is, oh, it should be right. What's going on here? Okay, something is going on. Yeah, should be this. Okay, mu-d means the value. Okay, this is tricky. So this is what they do here. Because I don't know why they set up this way. This is one of curveball. Although it says September is less than April, means that our first group is September, our second group is April. But when you read down here, you find out that the April comes first, then September. So in this case, we are not doing less than, we are doing greater than. So this is a curveball questions. Usually in the test, I wouldn't do this. I will always do September minus April. Okay, so and then you need to find the test statistics. So you get your sample data that is important. Okay, don't forget April minus September. So what you do in this case, you go under stat, T-stat, pair. So last time we do 2 sample, and then last time we do 1 sample. This time we do pair. And then the first sample in this case is April, since the question is given us is April. Then the second one is September. If you want to save the difference, you can. And then you just say this is less than, the null hypothesis equals to 0 and not less than, greater than. So your alternative is greater than. So make sure that this match the same as your statement here. And when you hit compute, your test statistic in this case will be 1.43 in 2 decimal place. And then your p-value in this case will be 0.095 in 3 decimal places. And then the question next is given us the p-value in this case 0.095. The alpha is given us by, let's see, 5%, 0.05. So 0.095 is greater than that. So we do not reject the null, or we fail to reject the null. So when you when you fail to reject a null, that is not sufficient evidence to conclude the claim here. And then now you need to figure out what is the confidence interval. Again, they don't give you the level. So for this case, because it is a two-tailed test, which is greater than, so we do not use 1 minus alpha because this is for the equal, not equal to. So we will be using 1 minus 2 alpha, okay? Where alpha in this case is 5% based on the question here. Our alpha is 5% in this case. So 1 minus 2 times alpha in this case will be 90%. So we are looking for a 90% confidence interval for this question. And how we do this is you go under option, go under edit, and then you same thing, don't change, just go down here. And now we are looking for the 90%, and you will get a 90% confidence interval. And the question here wants in how many decimal place? 1 decimal place. I think they want in 1 decimal place. So we have 1 decimal place. So that will be negative 0.6 in 1 decimal place, and then 4.9 in 1 decimal place. And then the next question they will ask you here is, are they captured 0 or not? This is usually what the conclusion is. Since 1 negative and 1 positive, this is capturing 0. So that means you do not reject that now. So these 2 conclusion and decision are the same. So when you do the hypothesizing and the confidence interval, the conclusion and decision should match. If one say do not reject and this is reject, something is wrong with your work. Okay, so this is how we do your homework using your Statcrunch. So please do not use the formula, because the formula to do all this work is horrible. So please do not do that. Please use Statcrunch. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Okay, so that's it for today. Have a good one.